Starting with version 5.2, you can now edit, create, or share any reports you want with any other users, make any changes you want to the reports. And so in this video, we're going to look at how to do some of the basic stuff that hopefully will cover 95% of what most users will want to do with their reports. So here's an example of our generic overall results report. You may decide, you know what, I'm never going to time a cycling race or rarely time a cycling race or a USATF race where they want to see a USATA number or a cycling number. And so you may decide, this is kind of wasted space here. I wish I could do something else with it. Maybe you want, instead of having gun time and chip time as options to view in this column, maybe you want to have gun time here and chip time here, just simply as your default view. Maybe you are timing a race. I know in Scotland it's required to where you show results with non-binary genders. So maybe you just want to simply get rid of the sex column, or if you're timing a triathlon, you may not want to see like the pace column. And so I'm going to show you how to modify a report. We're going to do some of the basics, and hopefully this covers most of what people need. So you click on the design button. This pulls up the end user designer, which is really nearly identical to the exact designer that I use when I create reports. So you really have all the tools you need to do anything you want in these reports. So we're going to look at adding a logo and then making some changes to this data. So first thing you do here is let's add an image in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make room for it. Now I'm just going to throw it over here to the right. You can definitely make it look a lot prettier than I'm going to do, but hopefully, this goal is just to simply show you how to add it in. Your job is to make it pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be on the, I'm going to jump to the Report Explorer tab over here. And first thing I'm going to do is I have to add the image in. So I'm going to go to Embedded Images, Add Embedded Images, and then I'm going to pick a logo. So there's my embedded image as part of the report now. And so in order to see it, I've got to add an image control. And now when you're dragging these things in, be aware that if you like drop it right here, then the report's going to expand. And so now your report, which has margins of 1/4 inch, so if you're doing 8.5 by 11 paper, guess what? It's going to be too wide. So you want to keep your report within 8 inches in width, which you can see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this over, and these columns down here, everything is already within 8 inches. So when I drop it right there, you see the blue lines kind of give you a little guide that say, hey, you're at the very top, and you're at the edge of the last control here. So once I drop it there, I can simply drag this back over. I'm going to click on the empty space here, which has got the header. And you can also click on the control and hit the escape key, and that kind of jumps you back out to the parent of that, this control, which is, in this case, the page header. And so here, now we've got it too big, so let me drop this down a little bit. And that looks good. And I'll do something like that. So now let me drag the body back up a little bit. And so that's basically how a report's going to look when it's printed. So we'll look at that in a second. So we've got the image control on. We've got the image added as a available embedded image there. So all we got to do is set the value of the image control. So I like to sort mine in alphabetical order. Click that. And then I'm going to say this is an embedded image for the source. And I'm going to tell it to fit proportionally. That way, if you've got a really big image and you simply do fit, then it expands the control out however big your image is. And that, of course, that can do all kinds of stuff with your report. And so now let's actually set the value of that control, and there's our logo. And so that's all it is. So you'll simply, now you'll watch because this is fit proportional. As I make it smaller, it just fits. And so let's say that I want my logo about the same size as that gray bar at the top. And I'll just drag this over. And I could actually drag it behind if I wanted to. And then let's see here. Let's bring this to front, make sure it's on top of it. Let's just see what that looks like. Now again, this is not going to be very pretty. I'm just showing you how to do it. You can add your image in as a watermark and maybe the back of the report. There's all kinds of things you do here. Let's say I want to change this from a dark gray to, I don't know, light. Let's say blue. And now let's say that I'm going to get rid of this ID number column. And this is just a label, so I'm going to say, get rid of the text here. Backspace key is not working. There you go. Let's say chip time. And then here, what I've done is I've tried to give you access to every field I would think that you possibly might could use. And so you'll see a whole lot more options here than the data that comes by default on the report. So hopefully this covers everything you need. If you find a field that you know the software tracks, then just let me know and I'll add it into the list here. But in this case, we're going to do a chip. Should be a chip time string or something like that. I've scrolled. See, there's chip time string. There we go. And so now be aware that sometimes you add values that have numbers in them, like a chip time. It thinks it's going to do like a sum. And so I'm going to take that sum word out because I don't want it to sum up the times. All right, so let's try this out and see what happens. So yeah, this is my report, and when you're all done, you can do simply file save, and then the software is going to say, hey, your report's saved. Just close this designer and you'll see it again. So when you're done, just close it out. And then now here's my report. So now I've got my chip times, I got my gun times. Again, I could have removed, added, I could have done anything with this that I wanted to. But now this is your default standard report. Let's say that you don't like it and you've already saved it and you're like, oh man, I've just changed my standard report. No worries, we've thought of that, of course. Just simply go to your settings page. You get reports, and this is your default reports. Any reports that you've made yourself, like I threw one in just right before this video, created a couple of reports with, I just changed the header from like blue to yellow to green, different colors, and I saved them. So any of your custom reports that you've created that are extra reports, yeah, I simply modified an existing report. And so if I were to open up this one here, this is the report we just created. But if I were to, let me pull that back up and see. So if I were to do, instead of file save, if I did save as, then I could have saved it as a brand new report, and those will show up down here at the bottom. So on these base reports, so let's say you've made a change and maybe the race is over and you want to put things back the way they were, or maybe you made a mistake in some way, just do restore. And then when you hit yes, it'll pull back in that report. And now if we go to it, it'll look just like the old one. So you can't mess up a report and not get your way back. And so this is now your default report. So on the custom reports, you'll see here, by the way, there's an option to edit this. You can double click on a report. Let's say this athlete labels. This is the packet label reports. If you want to, let's say you bought the wrong size label, for example, and you would simply want to change the report now to where it matches the labels you bought instead of buying more labels. Well, you can do that now. So basically, you can double click on a report, and it does the same thing as right click and edit. You can copy this report, and I guess what it does, it throws it into your custom reports. Let's say someone emails your report, then you can do import report, select the file. Now, sorry, I got a breakpoint in the code here. Let me get past that. Select the file, and it'll pull it in. Let's see here. And on the custom reports, if you right click, you've got the option to delete. Now, you'll notice in the default reports, you cannot delete a report because that's a default one. That's what the program needs. But on these, you can delete them, rename them, all that stuff. I think that's about it for report designing. Let's pull up another one here. Just pull this. This is a small race here. But yeah, and so you'll see, by the way, this is what I was going to show you. The custom reports, you can add as many as you want. All of your custom reports will be down here as options to choose. Now, the default reports from the clock screen, you have access just to those on these quick actions here. That's just the default reports. Now, again, you can change those, but you don't have access to your custom reports, at least as of right now. And so your custom reports, this is where they'll show up.